I got my crown wheel back with the splines renewed from Hansen's BMW in Medford, Oregon. They did a super job. They actually cut off the old splines and then they weld up new splines. They welded up and then cut new splines on the spindle. So today I'm going to install this crown wheel and finish up building up my final drive, and I'll get it installed on the. Before I install the crown wheel in the final drive, I just wanted to show how nicely the renewed splines on the crown wheel fit with the renewed driving dog, the new driving dog on the wheel. It's a very snug fit, and I imagine it's not going to be real easy to install the rear wheel because the splines are going to have to be perfectly lined up in order to get the wheel on. But that is a very, very solid fit, and I have absolutely zero backlash now between the splines, between the final drive and the wheel. So this has achieved exactly what I hoped it would, and this should be good at least for the rest of my life on this bike. So we'll go ahead and get the final drive built back up. Before I can install the crown wheel on the final drive, I need to reinstall the crown wheel bearing. So I've had the crown wheel in the freezer, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't just tap this down. I think that's fully seated now. I cleaned up the seal surfaces before I sent this crown wheel out to Hansen's to get the splines renewed. So this surface here is where the large seal rides or mates with this machine surface here. So I cleaned that up real well, and I polished it up using 2000 grit sandpaper with some kerosene. I also dressed the this surface here, which the innermost seal, you can't really see it in there, but I renewed that seal down in there below the needle bearing, and so I dressed this surface as well, and this is the inner race for that needle bearing, and none of this got disturbed. This race didn't get disturbed. This bearing is fully seated, and this shim will sit there to shim the cover to that bearing, and then this thrust washer sets the backlash between the crown wheel and the pinion. And these are available in 100 micron increments from BMW, but as I say, I'm not going to. I checked the backlash on it. All the shimming is really good. I have good center contact between the pinion and the crown wheel. No chipping on any teeth. So this is going back together with the existing shims. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. Let's get started reassembling this final drive. I have my thrust washer in there. So we'll drop the crown wheel in place. Perfect. Now I'll put a little bit of grease on the cover shim to hold that in place. And I'll grease up the large seal in the cover a little bit. In order to protect the seal going over the splines, I'm going to use this soda can. I bought this gasket from Boxer 2 valve, and I mic'd it to make sure that it was the same thickness as the gasket, the OEM gasket that was on here, and they were both at 12 thou, so we're good there. Okay, I'm going to apply a little bit of heat to this cover so it'll slip over the crown wheel bearing. Okay, that should be sufficiently heated. There we go. New spring washers here. I'm just going to run down a couple of nuts for right now. Just let that cool. Okay, we're going to install the remaining nuts. And I need to look the torque spec up on this. I have it written down here. Okay, we'll torque that down. Now, the book says 14 to 15 foot-pounds. So we'll go 15. Perfect. Very nice. Okay, well, I guess it wraps that up. Now just to install it on the bike. I checked the backlash, which is in spec, so I'm real good with the shimming on this. I'm going to go ahead and lubricate, or I'm in the process of lubricating the splines on the bench so I don't have to do it when it's on the bike. It's a lot easier here. I'm using some guard dog that I've had laying around for years. I like this GD 525 Molly. It's not available anymore, I don't believe. So I use a wooden chopstick, and I don't like using an acid brush on this because of the hairs that tend to come loose, and you don't want any grime or loose debris in that seal, getting in that seal. So I just put a light coating on the entire spline surface, both on the female side and the male end of it. Make sure I get it all the way down. Okay, perfect. I'll do the same to the rear wheel, and then I'll go ahead and install this. I'm going to go ahead and install the final drive onto the bike. I'm using the old drive dog to rotate the pinion, so hopefully this will slide right into the drive shaft. I have a new gasket here on the end. Okay, it's a good idea to put the axle in place before the nuts are drawn up that fasten the final drive to the swing arm. So I'm working this axle in right now. Lubricated it up a bit long ago. So now I'll torque the there we go. I was right there. That's a lot. Okay, that's the final drive installed. I'll get the shock absorbers connected and torque down, and then throw that rear wheel on, and we're done.